design. As you might remember, a while back we did this NX fake leak. But as it turns out, the NX isn't actually named NX, and it doesn't look like this. It's called the Nintendo Switch. I'm sure you've all seen the video with these detachable controllers. This is actually a replica that we made for Etika at EW Network. It's made using a combination of 3D printing, UV printing, laser cutting, a bunch of sanding, spray painting, gluing. So yeah, this will be the making of video. Thanks for watching.
We did most of the CAD in Autodesk Fusion 360 and also some in Corel Draw. Basically we had to do quite a bit of guesswork on the back, but the front was pretty easy because we had the video and the images released by Nintendo to go by. But the back it's pretty much up to guesswork, especially the triggers, but I think we got them pretty good. And we also did the grip, which I think we got pretty close to the original. After the CAD was done, we 3D printed all the parts on our Formlabs SLA 3D printer. Here you can see removing the support structure that the printer leaves behind. Luckily, most of the supports were inside the screen. After a bunch of sanding and wet sanding, we quote-unquote painted the back black using our UV printer to get a smooth surface. Then we laser cut the inner screen and outer screen out of 2mm clear acrylic. And this is how it all goes together. We used 2 layers to get the illusion of a real screen in there. Using the UV printer again, a bezel was printed on the back of the outer layer. The inner screen we simply sprayed black. Using 3M double-sided adhesive, we stuck them in there, making sure to trap as little dust as possible in between. It turned out great. It looks just like a real screen. Then we printed some bogus labels on black vinyl and just manually cutting it out. Here you can see the grip and the Joy-Con straight out of the printer's resin bath. We had to make sure not to round over the edges too much when sanding, so we used a sanding block and that helped a lot. And then we polished the rails on the Joy-Cons to make sure it slides smoothly. And then we lightly coated the Joy-Cons in acrylic paint, making sure to mask the rails. We went for a matte finish. Didn't get any footage of this, but we polished the entire front of the Joy-Con grip. You'll see why in a minute. We covered the receiving rails so no paint gets in there. And then we painted the back with black acrylic paint, again a matte finish. And then we let the UV printer do its magic on the front, printing black on everything but the logo, leaving it glossy. It turned out great. Even the transition between the print and the paint was invisible. Here's all the small buttons and parts, untreated. The triggers were wet sanded and then polished to a shine. The analog knobs were particularly hard to sand, but we used finishing pads and those worked quite well. And then we painted them with a rubberizing coating to make them rubberish, or rubber-like. Yeah, and then we printed the lettering on the face buttons. Then probably the smallest print we've done so far, the black circle on the home button. And the home button itself is made from white acrylic. Then we started gluing everything together. We mostly used CA glue or super glue. Didn't get a whole lot of footage from that because it was too nerve-wracking to film. And the LEDs on the grip are laser cut from 2mm clear acrylic and simply pressed into place. Here you can also see the magnets that hold everything together. Laser cutting the back of the grip out of 5mm black acrylic. And then we rounded the edges on a router and polished. Then we roughed up the surfaces before gluing. And as I'm showing here, this is how it all went together. Sorry, no real footage from this gluing. The front of the dock was also cut from 5mm black acrylic, and the recessed TV symbol was laser engraved into it. And again, rounding the edges and some light sanding. Then we did the same thing as the grip, printing everything except the logo. And this is the dock base straight out of the printer. We used the random orbital sander quite a bit on this, and a flat surface to avoid rounding the corners too much. And then a light coat of acrylic paint on that also. Then we glued the front to the base with epoxy to make sure it holds up. And yeah, here it all is, finished.